What if AI didn't just help you think? What if it actually started doing the work you hate to do? Welcome to Marketing Trends Now. I'm Katie Brinkley, a social media strategist who's been in the game for over 2 decades. And I'm a business owner just like you. If you want to stay ahead of the algorithm without burning out, I've got you. I know you've got a business to run, so I'm going to keep it short, smart, and worth your time. Let's dive into today's episode. Welcome back. I am Katie Brinkley, and this is part 3 of a 4-part series. So far in this series, we have talked about 2 big shifts. First, you're not using AI wrong, but you're using it too narrowly. You're not thinking big enough. Most people are using it just for output, not execution. And second, if AI doesn't sound like you, it's not because it can't, it's because you haven't trained it yet. You haven't given it enough context, enough examples, or enough structure to actually understand how you think. So here's where things are going to get really interesting in this 3rd part of the 4-part series, because once AI understands you, the next step is not getting better writing. The next step is getting your time back. And that only happens when you stop using AI as an assistant and start using it as an executor. So let's just call this out here because I see it all the time. Even people who feel like they're good, quote unquote, at using AI are still doing it all themselves. They're faster, more efficient, they're getting better draft results, but they're still the one handling every piece of the execution. They're still writing that final email, structuring the content, planning the week, preparing for meetings. AI is helping, but it's not actually taking anything off of their plate. That's the difference, because if AI isn't removing tasks, you are still the bottleneck. You might be a faster bottleneck, but you're still the one that everything runs through. And if you're trying to grow your business, that becomes the problem. There's a mindset shift that needs to happen. You need to shift from help me to handle this. This is the mindset that changes everything. Most people open AI and think, help me write this, help me figure this out. And again, it's a great place to start, but it keeps you in that same role. You are the one that's doing the work with just a little assistance. And that doesn't mean that you completely hand things off and hope for the best. It means you start identifying which tasks you don't actually need to do them from start to finish. Instead of asking AI to help you write an email, you ask it to draft the email based on your tone, your intent, and your typical structure. Instead of asking it for content ideas, you ask it to turn one core idea into multiple pieces of content based on how you usually communicate. So if you remember back to the first episode, I had you think about 3 things that you could do every single week that you never wanted to do again. And this is the part where that list becomes really important because those tasks are your starting point. Most people use AI for the most visible things. Like I said, social posts, brainstorming. But the real opportunity is in the repetitive tasks that drain your energy. Think about the things that you avoid, the things you procrastinate on, or the things that feel like they should be easier than they are. Could be those follow-up emails. Maybe it's preparing for meetings. Maybe it's turning a podcast into social content. Maybe it's organizing your thoughts into something structured. Maybe it's reviewing and editing things before they go out. I don't know. Whatever your task is that you don't like doing, think about that again. These are the tasks that you want to start with AI, because when AI takes even one of those off your plate, you feel it immediately. And that's when it stops being a nice to have tool and starts becoming something that actually improves your day-to-day work. And I want to be clear, you don't need to automate everything. You just are going to start by removing friction. I think a lot of people are like, it's going to solve all of my to-do list. And then they overcomplicate it. You don't need to build some massive, fully automated system right away. You don't need 10 different workflows and a complicated setup. We're going to start small here. Remember, this is only part 3, so we still got part 4 to talk about this. But you want to start small. What you need to remove is friction. That's it. What are the things that are taking longer than you should? What are you repeating the same process for over and over? What are you wasting mental energy on that could be simplified? That's where AI comes in. Sometimes it looks like creating a repeatable way to draft emails so you're not overthinking the structure every time. We've talked about all the different use cases. They're ones that actually can help you make a difference because they reduce the amount of decisions that you have to make in a day. And decision fatigue is one of the biggest things slowing business owners down. At the end of the day, it is a lot of work for me to decide what to have for dinner. Talk to my husband about this. I've had decision fatigue. I can't make any more decisions. What do you want for dinner? So I have to plan my meal planning in advance. This is the same thing. This is how you start building skills without overthinking it. You don't need to call them skills or build anything complicated, but you do need the repeatable way to use AI. So let's walk this through in a way that actually feels real. Imagine you just got off a call with a potential client. Normally, you would sit down, think about what to say, write a follow-up email from scratch because you don't want to have something generic, copy and paste. You'd try to remember what you talked about, what they cared about, what the next step should be. Now, imagine instead that you drop a few notes into AI. You tell it who the person is, what the conversation was about, and what you want the next step to be. It drafts a follow-up email in your tone using your typical structure. Now you're not writing from scratch. You're reviewing and refining. It's the same situation, but a completely different experience. Same if you have a podcast. Normally you'd sit down and try to come up with captions, posts, or emails to promote it. There are tools out there, but a lot of times they sound robotic because it is a robot that hasn't been trained by you. All this takes time and mental energy. Now, instead, imagine that you give AI your core idea or your transcript, and it helps you break that down into multiple pieces of content that already sound like you. Again, you're not starting from zero, you're refining. And this next part is really important because I see people get stuck in the perfectionism. The goal is not perfectionism. The goal is not perfect. It's momentum. A lot of people are expecting AI to get everything perfect. That's not the goal. The goal is momentum. And if AI gets you 70% of the way there, that is a win. If it removes the hardest part of getting started, that's a win. If it takes something off your plate completely, that is a huge win. You are still the final decision maker. You are still responsible for what goes out into the world, but you don't need to carry the entire process every single time. And that's what starts to free up your time. And once you start using AI this way, something shifts. You're no longer just using it occasionally when you feel stuck. You're using it as part of your workflow. It helps you move faster, not by doing everything for you, but by removing the parts that slow you down. It's not about doing more. It's about doing less of the things that don't require you. And when you start to feel like you actually have room to think, room to plan, room to grow, focus on the bigger picture, that's the space you want to be in. So here's the takeaway from this episode. This is a short one today. We're going to talk about how to use these co-working tools and these automations in the next episode. If AI is only helping you think, you're still doing all the work. But when AI starts handing off part of the execution, that's when you get your time back. That's the shift from help me to handle this. And the easiest place to start is your anti-to-do list. The things you don't want to do anymore is exactly where AI should start working for you. Again, you don't need that complicated system. You need to start by just training your tool. Get those pieces of content. Tell it what you don't want out of it. Train it now, because once you train it, you don't need to have that complicated system. You just need to start removing friction one task at a time. So before the next episode, I want you to pick one item off of that anti-to-do list that we talked about last week and use AI to handle it from start to finish. Not to help you, to handle it. Then look at what it gave you and refine it. Because in the next episode, we're going to talk about how to bring all of this together into a simple system that actually runs in the background of your business. If you're getting value from this series, make sure that you are subscribed to the show. Leave us a review and don't miss a single episode, especially the next one. If you're ready to take your marketing to that next step, head on over to nextstepsocial.com and learn how we help business owners build smarter, more strategic marketing systems to help their businesses grow. And here's the question I want you to be thinking about. If AI could take even 20% of your weekly tasks off your plate and run in the background, what would you finally have the time to focus on? Until next week, keep your marketing smart, strategic, and always on trend.